Okay, welcome to the Spring 2019 Track and Field Preseason Coaches Briefing. First on the agenda is welcome. So welcome to everyone that's on the line. And anyone who is watching this after it's been recorded. Feel free to ask any questions or any concerns or anything that is not understood fully by emailing me, Kara Marinick, the IUS Director for Special Olympics Maryland, at cmarinick@somd.org. And then my contact information is also included within the PowerPoint presentation. We are going to go over our season timeline, state tournament qualifications, the Google folders, the importance of the coaches contact list, recruitment posters for next year, and then the address for the official rules guide, publication, and meticulous review. We're also going to talk about equipment, uniforms, forms, and registrations. So again, my name is Kara Marinick, and I'm the Director of Interscholastic Unified Sports. And my email, cmarinick@somd.org, and then my cell phone, which I can text and call and chat, anything that you guys need. If any questions, again, arise after hearing anything that I've presented today. I want to introduce our new track and field chair. Her name is Katie Gleason. Here is her contact info. She's coming from Prince George's County, and we're excited for her to be on board. So for contacts for those of you who need to get a hold of district representatives, these are the district reps for the different counties. So I am in charge of Allegany and Garrett, and then we have Michelle and Seth for Charles County, Michelle Hill for Frederick, Melanie McManus for Prince George's, and Barb Costner for Washington. Some administrative pieces going forward. So last Friday, March 1st, was Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association spring practice start date. So you guys could have started practice on Friday if you so chose to do so. And then as far as the eligible play date, that will be March 21st, which is Thursday. And just for your information, for my districts, the final fast hard deadline for paperwork is March 21st. So if you want to put down on your calendars the date of March 14th, so that you have a week or so in case you have any stragglers or incomplete paperwork, that will help both you and I get everything in on time. So please, please, please get those in. Your applications, affirmation of eligibility, all the paperwork that's required. It would be helpful if you could get it in on March 14th, as the last date to be accepted is Thursday, March 21st. Okay, so I will go over all those forms that are needed here in a second. So track and field specific dates, May 3rd is the date that county championships, including any rain delays, must be completed. And it is your last day to adjust your roster counts for the purposes of divisioning at states. So May 14th and 15th are our actual state invitational dates. So the state invitational for rosters of 20 student athletes or fewer is May 14th. And then the state invitational date for rosters of 21 plus student athletes is May 15th. So again, I am going to be looking at the affirmation of eligibility to look at the roster numbers. So please, please, please make sure if you have 21 that you have all 21 on there, because if not, you will be competing in the 20 student athletes or fewer. Our inclement weather date is May 16th. Tuesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. is our track and field state invitational pre-competition webinar. And Katie, our new chair, will be hosting that. So make sure that you register and get that on your calendars now. And then again, like I stated before, Tuesday, May 14th and Wednesday, May 15th is the track and field state invitational at Prince George's Sports and Learning Complex. So overall, applicable to all interscholastic unified sports, teams will conduct the interscholastic unified sports season for a minimum of 8 weeks, with teams practicing at least twice a week and participating in 3 or more competitions during the season. If teams are unable to meet this expectation, then you may contact me and let me know what's going on and kind of how we can work around that. So for track and field specifically, teams are to participate in at least 2 regular season competitions. Barring any extensive inclement weather hardships, this will be strictly enforced as a qualifying requirement for the state invitational. All coaches' resources are available online via the Google folder, which the address is right here for you. And it includes the official rules and coaches' resources, the related forms that you need to be turned in on that March 14th date, any coaches training tools, the meticulous review of the resource books that I just uploaded today, and then any of the sports logos that you may need for your uniforms are also included in there. Coaches contact list. I need to make sure I have everyone on the list correct. So please, if you have not been contacted and you somehow are seeing this and you have not heard from me, please let me know and get me your contact information so that I can make sure I have the correct coach at the correct school. Also, going forward, we are going to be getting out recruitment posters at the end of each season, or end of each year, sorry. So I need to know if you need new posters for the next school year. So for 2019, 2020, if you need bocce or track and field or strength and conditioning, tennis, any of those, please fill out the Survey Monkey that the link is down here. And I will be mailing those out to schools at the end of May so that you have them all ready for the next school year. And that will be our process going forward. So the IUS Spring Officials Rules and Coaches Resource Review was done today, like I said. It is in the Google folder. It is complete. It's up there. You can use it. Please go through it. Make sure you're familiar with the rules and all of our regulations prior to competition. So going forward, please look at your uniforms and make sure that they are compliant with our rules and regs that are in that resources folder. And if you do not have what you need, then please contact your school athletic director and or your supervisor of athletics. And then if that is something that you guys still are not able to fund yourselves, then please contact me and let me know, and I will get the ball rolling for those. But again, you need to contact your athletic director and or supervisor of athletics first, because if you do not, I will send you back to them. So inventory your equipment. Make sure that you have your mini javelin and your shot put in order to practice for competition so that your athletes know the proper process and are practicing correctly so that they're able to complete correctly. So when you're looking at your uniforms, make sure that they should have this pill form shape with our logo inside somewhere on your uniform. This is clarified more in the coach's resource guide. It goes over specifically what your uniform should look like for track and field. So if you need to order new ones, we also have this logo available in the Google Docs. So again, look at all of your inventory, your uniforms, your equipment. Make sure that you have everything you need to compete and practice appropriately, and that you're in compliance with Special Olympics Maryland requirements. Again, recruitment posters, if you need those, please fill out that Survey Monkey. And then going forward with practices, just recruit as much as possible. As we tend to sort of lose numbers come breaks, so spring break is right in the middle of the practice season. Just make sure you're keeping those kids involved and excited about the sport. Forms and registration. So every team must submit your affirmation of eligibility, just as in previous seasons. Please, please, please fill this out, and it needs to have all of your athletes who are participating on there. If they are not on there, they cannot compete, and then your roster number will not be correct for divisioning. Also, coaches, head coach needs to sign right here. And then additional team personnel, we need their names. I use this box specifically for credentialing. If they're not on there, they will not be credentialed for states, and then therefore they do not have their appropriate badges, and then it's not good for everyone. So again, fill this out correctly, and it is due to me with forms on the 14th. Last date, March 21st. So March 14th is your goal date. And then it is absolutely due, no exceptions, past March 21st. Application for participation. Reminder, one form collected for each school year. One form. So if you've already submitted a form for an athlete for previous season, fall tennis or winter for strength and conditioning or bocce, please do not send them in again. We have them on file, okay? Just send them in for students who are new to this year's events, okay? Again, this would come in with your affirmation of eligibility. All of your athletes need to be on the affirmation, but we only need these forms from students who have not participated yet this school year. For our non-student athletes, adults and minors, Class A clearance is required for all non-student athletes. However, these are valid for 3 years. So if these are current and they have been put in the last 2 years, then you are good. We can check for you. So if you need me to check, I will be checking for all schools. And you will get a report that shows who is good and who is not. But if you want to know prior to that, please shoot me an email and I can let you know. If you have anybody who is new and needs Class A clearance, you will be sending that information and those scans of those paperwork to Dottie Rush, drush@somd.org on or before Thursday, March 21st. So they need to pass a background check, which we will check for them once they have submitted that Class A form and have passed their protective behavior training, which is at this link right here. And then they may take a screenshot, which I will show you in the next slide of what that looks like once they've passed that protective behavior training. So there's a third step for anyone 17 years and younger. Minors younger than 18 years old must complete and submit the student minor volunteer release form, which is included in the coach's resource manual. It is in the supplemental documents. If you have anyone helping, like managers or any students that are going along that just help out with your team, they must fill that out as well. This is a picture of the protective training behavior that you can submit to verify that you've completed that. So anyone who is a non-student athlete that is going with you to states needs to complete this protective behaviors training. Again, it is good for 3 years. So if they've already done so this year, they're solid. If they've done it in the last 2 years, they're fine. 3 years or before that, they will need to submit it again. So specific for unified track and field this year, reference to the maximum effort rule, okay? So this is in regards to submitting times that are accurate for your athletes, giving their maximum effort, okay? So there was a variance in 2016, but it's changed to 20%. If we find that the score varies by over 20%, then they will be disqualified. So here's just a little bit that explains about the maximum effort rule. So just make sure you are submitting times that is the maximum effort of your athletes so that you are not doctoring anything that you are sending in that interferes with the true competition of our athletes and unified partners. Roster proportionality. So this rule states, to promote an inclusive environment as a guideline, it is recommended a unified track and field team be composed proportionally of students with and without disabilities. However, no more than 70% of the roster may be composed of students with disabilities or students without disabilities. And also it is permitted for teams that do not meet the 12 student athlete minimum roster size to combine with a team in their district in order to compete. So if you do not have enough to make that 12 student athlete minimum roster, please, please, please talk with your surrounding schools and combine if needed so that you can still compete. So team rosters that are not compliant with the 70% rule may be permitted to compete, but you need to apply for a leniency waiver, and they need to be submitted to the track and field sports management team no less than 30 days prior to the state invitational. So if any of the coaches that are underneath me need to submit that, you would submit it to me and then I would get it to the advisory committee. So there was a survey that was put out to see if leniency waivers worked. We're going to continue to try it out this year and see if the date was kind of an if of last year being too close. So we're going to see if we even have any that need to submit the leniency waiver, and we will go from there. But as of right now, the date that was set last year is kind of around where we're going to submit again this year. So 30 days prior to the event, just to be safe. So for weighted scoring at the state invitational, team scoring awards 5 points for first place, 3 points for second place, and 1 point for third place for every competition division. So what to do in the instance when teams with significant roster sizes are set in the same team division, meaning smaller rosters compete with larger roster teams, or when teams with significant roster size are set in the same team division, meaning smaller rosters compete with larger roster teams. So if you guys want to discuss this, then please let me know. And there's a SurveyMonkey that you can report your preference on. If this does in fact come to fruition, then we will make a ruling. But we want to know everyone's opinions on the matter for the state invitational weighted scoring system. So the 4x400 meter, there's also a question on the SurveyMonkey about whether we want to have the athlete turn in at the first turn or after the third turn. So that's another SurveyMonkey question that you can answer. Jewelry, the ruling has been changed for the high school program that they are allowed to wear jewelry, but Special Olympics Maryland is actually going to adhere to the no jewelry rule, and that is covered in the coach's resource manual. So again, we know that it's allowed by high schools, the local school systems. However, Special Olympics Maryland is not going to allow jewelry at our state invitational. So points of emphasis that were also covered in the resource manual was the accommodations piece, which was intended to include Paralympics blind runner accommodations for anyone who needs them, and then finisher's tape for low-level track heats or as requested. So just make sure that if you have any accommodations that you're getting those to me prior to state competition so that we have them on our radar. So last year there was some discussion about the COMAR interpretation, and we continue to discuss the interpretation of dual participation in interscholastic and unified sports. Within that SurveyMonkey, again, there's a question on, do we need further consider this regulation and the impact on interscholastic unified track and field? So within that survey, you can choose from the 3 options. So option 1, each participating school system shall interpret and apply the COMAR regulation independently. A consistent application of the regulations are not necessary. Option 2, returning players are example, student athletes who have competed in track and field at the junior varsity or varsity level are forever and always ineligible for participation on a unified track and field team. The following is allowable. Student athletes who participate on an interscholastic track and field team but who have not seen any competition action at all are eligible to play on a unified track and field team. Some counties that have no cut interscholastic track and field with extremely large rosters with players who never entered in competition. These student athletes are permitted to compete on a unified track and field team because they do not fit the definition of a returning player. So that's option 2. And then option 3, student athletes who have competed in track and field at the junior varsity or varsity level are ineligible for competition on a unified track and field team for 1 complete school year. During the year in which the student athlete does not compete, a student can practice with his or her team. But the following is allowable. For example, student athletes who have competed as a member of an interscholastic track and field team in 2018 is ineligible to compete in the 2019 unified track and field season, but can participate with his or her team during 2019. The player is ineligible to compete in the 2020 unified track and field season. So, and then there's option 4, which is that you don't vote for any of the previous 3. So if you want to, again, it's on the SurveyMonkey that was on the previous page to answer the question about Comar. So regular season and county championships. While Special Olympics Maryland welcomes the opportunity to serve as a consultant to local school systems while preparing for and managing local meets, it is the responsibility of the LSS to ensure proper management and validity. So for Allegany and Garrett, you guys would be responsible, whoever your tournament director is, for making sure you adhere to Special Olympics rules and regulations. The same meet management practices are to be used for the county championship. And so, example, use of a gun to start all races, opening ceremony, announcement, divisioning, and team scoring. This is required so that coaches and student athletes become familiar with the meet management and expectations. I will be sending out awards again for the district tournament or district championship. So if you think of any questions or anything was unclear or would like to discuss anything with me, please email or call, text, and let me know, and I will get those answers to you as soon as I can. Thank you for listening to this webinar, and I wish you luck on your coming season. And I will see you guys at States. Thanks so much.